You wake up, reach for your blood pressure monitor. Maybe it's sitting right there on your nightstand, and the numbers come back higher than you expected. Higher than they were yesterday afternoon. Higher than your doctor would like to see. And the frustrating part is, you feel like you did everything right. That moment, quiet, a little unsettling, is one that millions of adults over 55 experience more mornings than they'd care to admit. And if it's happened to you, you are not alone, and you are not imagining it. Here is something that might surprise you. Blood pressure naturally rises in the early morning hours. It's a biological pattern called the morning surge, and it happens to nearly everyone. Your body is preparing to be active. Stress hormones like cortisol increase. Your heart rate picks up. Your blood vessels tighten slightly. For most people, this is a normal process. But for those already managing blood pressure, that natural rise can push numbers into a range that feels alarming, or that genuinely deserves attention. The good news is that this is not random, and it is not completely outside your control. What most people don't realize is that the choices made in the evening, not just during the day, can have a real effect on what that monitor shows when you wake up. Small habits, seemingly harmless ones, can quietly set the stage for a higher morning reading without you ever connecting the dots. This is not about dramatic interventions or overhauling your entire routine. These are 5 simple, gentle habits, some for the evening, some for the morning itself, that may help your numbers look a little calmer when you reach for that cuff. And before we go further, these habits are meant to support your overall vascular health alongside whatever your doctor has prescribed. They are not a substitute for medication or medical care. If you are being treated for high blood pressure, please keep that treatment going and discuss any changes with your healthcare provider. Now, let's talk about the first one. And it may be something you've been doing for years without realizing the effect it has. Sodium. Specifically, sodium at dinner. Most people know that salt affects blood pressure, but many assume the impact is immediate and then fades. In reality, the way your kidneys process sodium takes time. A higher sodium dinner, whether it's a restaurant meal, canned soup, deli meat, or a prepared sauce, can still be influencing your fluid balance well into the night and into the next morning. Your blood vessels may remain under slightly more pressure as your body works to manage the extra load. This doesn't mean eliminating all flavor. It means being more intentional about your evening meal in particular. Herbs, citrus, and spices can do a lot of heavy lifting that salt used to do. A lighter dinner, lower in sodium and easier to digest, may be one of the quietest changes you can make for a calmer morning reading. Here is something that often gets overlooked. Alcohol in the evening. It might feel relaxing, and in the short term, it often is. But alcohol can interfere with the quality of your sleep and affect how your blood vessels behave overnight. Research suggests that even moderate alcohol consumption in the evening may contribute to higher morning blood pressure readings. If you enjoy a drink, you may notice a difference on mornings after you didn't have one. That is worth paying attention to. Sleep quality is the third habit, and this is where things get particularly important. Poor sleep doesn't just make you tired. It actually disrupts the normal overnight drop in blood pressure that a healthy cardiovascular system experiences. Most people's blood pressure decreases by 10 to 20% during sleep. Doctors call this dipping. If your sleep is fragmented, too short, or disrupted by sleep apnea, which is far more common in adults over 55 than many realize, that overnight dip may not happen the way it should. And without it, your body enters the morning surge from a higher baseline. If you find yourself waking frequently, snoring heavily, or feeling exhausted no matter how long you slept, that is worth discussing with your doctor. Sleep apnea in particular is a condition that often goes undiagnosed for years while quietly affecting blood pressure. For those who sleep reasonably well, protecting your sleep environment matters too. Keeping the room cool and dark, limiting screen time close to bedtime, and avoiding heavy or late meals can all make a difference in sleep depth and duration. Here is the midpoint moment that often makes people pause: the medication timing question. If you take blood pressure medication in the evening and your mornings are consistently high, it may be worth asking your doctor whether the timing or dosage of your medication is optimal. Some medications are designed to work overnight and into the morning. Others may have worn off by the time your morning surge begins. This is not a reason to adjust your medication on your own. It absolutely is not. But it is a question worth raising at your next appointment. Many people have never thought to ask. The fourth habit involves what you do in the first few minutes after waking. Moving from sleep to standing is not a neutral act for your cardiovascular system. Blood pressure shifts when you rise quickly. If you are already prone to morning spikes, sitting at the edge of the bed for a minute or two before standing can allow your body to adjust more gradually. A few slow, deliberate breaths before you check your numbers may also help. Stress and anticipation alone can nudge a reading higher. Some people check their blood pressure the moment they wake up, while still half asleep, before they've even had water. That reading often reflects the natural morning surge at its peak. Waiting 15 to 20 minutes, using the bathroom, sitting quietly, and then checking may give you a more useful and representative number. And that brings us to the fifth habit: morning hydration. Overnight, your body loses fluid. By the time you wake, you are mildly dehydrated. And mild dehydration can affect blood vessel tone and blood thickness in ways that influence pressure readings. A glass of water, plain, before coffee or anything else, is one of the simplest things you can do. Coffee itself is worth mentioning. Caffeine causes a temporary rise in blood pressure, particularly in those who are sensitive to it or who don't drink it daily. If you drink coffee first thing and then check your blood pressure, the reading may not reflect your baseline. Waiting until after your check or switching to a lower caffeine option in the morning may give you a cleaner picture. Here is what all 5 of these habits share. They are not dramatic. They are not expensive. They don't require equipment or prescriptions. They work quietly, overnight and at the start of the day, to support the conditions your cardiovascular system needs to manage that natural morning rise without overshooting. If you've been frustrated by your morning readings, it's worth remembering that blood pressure is dynamic. It responds to dozens of inputs, many of which you have some influence over. That doesn't mean you can control it perfectly. But it does mean that small, consistent changes in the right places can make a real difference over time. You may not see an overnight transformation. These habits build gradually. But many people who commit to a few of them find their morning numbers becoming more predictable, less anxiety-inducing, and sometimes genuinely lower over the course of weeks. What your monitor shows in the morning doesn't have to feel like a verdict. With the right evening routine and a more mindful start to your day, it can start to feel more like information, useful, manageable, and part of a bigger picture that you have real influence over. If this was helpful, consider subscribing to Prime Daily Health. We share practical, trustworthy health information for adults who want to stay informed and take care of themselves well. And if you have a question, or if one of these habits resonates with something you've noticed in your own experience, drop it in the comments. We read them, and your perspective matters. Take good care of yourself. Every morning is a new opportunity to do that.